Dr. Tom Roselle live right now on 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL.
Welcome to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. I'm live today, and however, not in studio, but you can reach us here at 888-630-WMAL. That's 888-630-9625. Love to talk to you on any subject you have in mind. Perhaps you've had a problem, you've tried, you've applied. You've done everything that you can think of, and you've come up with the same old, not a whole lot of anything that really works. Well, here's an opportunity to really turn the tide on this thing to find out what can be done from a non-drug, non-surgical point of view. 888-630-WMAL. I'm sitting looking at a beautiful lake in upstate New York, actually the western tier of New York, and watching the boats and clear skies, and it's really pretty out here. Actually went back to my hometown this weekend and enjoying my family, and so when that happens, we have family on the program, and to talk to you today is our number one nutritionist in our practice, Sue. Hi, Sue.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, it is indeed. We're having fun, and we get to do this a little remotely, as they say.
It is. It is so peaceful looking out over this gorgeous lake.
It's a beautiful day. It's absolutely
beautiful.
Fantastic. So hopefully we can sit here in a very relaxed state and answer some questions. And actually what we're going to be talking about is alkaline acid balance within the body, but also as it relates to the fall-time allergies, things that people are going to start experiencing if they're not already experiencing.
Oh, they already are.
Yeah,
we've had a bumper crop already this year.
I know. Strep throats and, muscle pain, and their stomach is bothering them, and GI problems. All those things are being triggered because of the environment.
And that doesn't include all the stuff from the neck up. The sniffles, the stuffy nose, the swelling in the nasal passages, the watery eyes, the coughing, the sneezing, all the other stuff that goes along.
The pain in the frontal sinuses, the pain in the back of the sinuses. It's like everything is there.
Absolutely. We've had a bumper crop of both mold this year as well as the goldenrod is out, the ragweed.
Oh, it's
big time already.
The weather this year, because of the lack of coldness, if you will, in the wintertime, and then the amount of wet that we had, and then the amount of heat that we had, was perfect environment for all this stuff to be much more virulent, if you will. But the thing of it is that people, when they get sick, they think that it's a bug or it's a bacteria, so forth, and really what it's all about is the environment, their terrain, their internal mechanism of acid-alkaline balance, and that's what really predisposes us.
That's right.
And I want to touch upon, the subject of allergies and some other problems. We know that when your body's too acidic, not only are you going to have allergies and intestinal tract problems, but you're going to be predisposed to osteoporosis and osteopenia and cancers and degenerative diseases of all types. And in our office, when we deal with these things, we kind of, we look at it from a multidimensional point of view, from structural, chemical, emotional, and we move people to that paradigm. So what we have to do today is let's take the subject, kind of pull it apart. People are suffering. We're helping them as best we can, but to convince them that they actually have the opportunity to turn things around.
Right. Well, the thing with the allergy thing, you wonder how come Mary Jane doesn't have allergies, but Charlie Joe does. And they're living in the same house, and they're living in the same environment, and they're outside the same amount. And why does one have the problem, one does not? And it comes back to the fact of the balance in the body itself. The more acidic the body is, the less likely it's going to tolerate insults from the external environment. So that's the molds and the funguses that we've got, unfortunately, in Virginia with such a large quantity of. The dust and the animal dander and hair and things like that you have to deal with all year round. And now in the fall we've got the ragweed and the late summer blooming flowers and the weeds that are coming up to their maximum pollen output now. And the more out of balance the body is, the more acidic the body is, the less capable it is of dealing with any kind of an overwhelm.
People should consider the environment and how it's affected them this year, and we don't stop to think about it because many of our patients who've come in and they've been far sicker or recurrent sicknesses this year than they have at any other time. We live in the upper portion of this continent, and we have what's called seasons. But this year we haven't had traditional seasons.
Right.
It hasn't been cold enough. It's been way too hot. It's been excesses. and those excesses cause the body not to be able to adapt. But then what you do is you end up shifting the alkaline acid pH because of sugar, sodas, coffee, teas, fast food, fried foods, alcohol, gluten, additives, preservatives. I wonder how I came about that thing. But anyway,
I don't know.
But that's how it really is. Matter of fact, for Ageless Health Seminar, we're going to have a T-shirt, and we're going to have a T-shirt with all of that on. The whole thing. Dareth came up with the idea, and then a circle around it, with a hash mark like don't. So, but the truth of it is,
it's going to have to be a giant T-shirt.
Well, small lettering.
Or small lettering.
Yeah, one of the two. But that's the whole point, is that we shift our bodies to such an acidic state. So what is the normal, if we wanted to look at it, if we wanted to monitor our blood systems and so forth, what is the target that we're actually trying to get to? The
target for the blood, which is going to be held tighter than any other pH in the entire body, because if it varies by even as much as 1/10 of a point, you are very, very sick, and if it goes beyond 3/10 of a point out of whack, you're going to be dead. It's very, very tightly controlled. It should be somewhere between 7.3 to 7.4. That is usually the range, the ideal pH of the blood. And we usually don't test that when they do a standard blood test. For some reason, it's not done anymore. I'm not sure why.
Well, the thing is, you're going to have physicians that are going to tell you, listen, pH is always going to be alkaline, no matter what you do. If you draw a blood sample and you get a pH and measurement on it, it's going to be alkaline. Well, the truth of it is,
it better be.
It is. Otherwise, you die.
You're dead.
Yeah, you're going to die. If it goes under 7, you're dead.
Yeah.
So the body does everything that it possibly can to maintain that balance.
Absolutely. And that's why I say the blood is the most tightly regulated of all, because when that goes out of balance, you're dead. There's no finding other systems that will balance you. But in the process of maintaining that pH, the body goes through all kinds of jumps to maintain the mineralization, those are the alkaline minerals. That's what get people confused here. Primarily of magnesium, calcium, sodium, potassium, zinc. Those are your most important alkalinizing minerals, and your body has those in reserve all over the place. You have them in your muscle tissue, you have them in the lymphatic fluids, you have them in the bones. And so you have lots of different storehouses for these very important minerals to maintain that pH very, very tightly. What we get into is when we have all the conditions in our lives that make us very acidic, too much stress, no exercise, medications, all that sort of thing, we burn up our storehouses of these minerals and we start depleting tissues, and the most obvious one would be bones.
Well, when you look at anything, we have to look at the triad simply because of the fact, that structural, chemical, emotional is really what's involved here. If you have somebody who is in pain all the time and their body's hurting, their body's aching, they can't put it out, and then they start throwing medications after that, they're just shoving that to an acid level. Right. If we're constantly internalizing stress, if we're emotionally distraught, that's causing an acidic shift. If we're not eating the way that we should, that's causing an acidic shift.
All those comfort foods that we go to when we're under stress, the chocolate and the candies and the pastries and the ice cream.
You just made a lot of people mad, right?
I know.
No chocolates?
Excuse
me. I'm sorry.
I know.
I'm done listening to you today.
I saw a sign, I can't quit chocolate because I'm not a quitter. But anyway, all those comfort foods that we go to that give us a momentary sense of pleasure in our mouth is creating more havoc in our systems because, again, that makes our body much more acidic. And when that happens, whatever the problem is that's bugging us, and if we're talking today about fall hay fever, that problem is going to be a big bug because you're going to suddenly find the next day that your head is completely clogged up, or you have a terrible sinus headache, or your throat is scratchy, or you're sneezing and you just feel like someone hit you with a truck. And it's because not only was your body out of balance in the first place creating the allergy, but then your body became more acidic by the foods and things that we chose to use to give ourselves a momentary sense of comfort.
There's a very interesting representation, if you will, or presentation of somebody who is too acidic. They're either too fat or they're too skinny.
Right.
And it's the truth. You get somebody who's super thin or somebody who's And when I talk about fat, when I say too fat, I'm not talking about somebody who looks grossly obese, because you can be a skinny fat person.
That's right.
You know, as we've talked about for a long time, it's the composition of muscle mass versus the amount of fat and all those other things. But when the fat level goes up, or somebody's super skinny, they can't put on weight, usually there's a correlation there.
That's right.
And those are the ones that suffer even more. We're not going to touch upon, or we're not going to get in depth into thyroid problems, but people who have inflammatory allergic responses in their body are predisposed and have much more of a problem with thyroid problems, particularly autoimmune thyroid problems like Hashimoto's thyroiditis.
Right.
And, you know, Dr. Poe was on the program. We talked about that quite at length. It was, you know, it's one of those things, and most of these things are really very, very, very avoidable. So let's get into this a little bit more depth. Before we do, though, our calls are lining up. We're here at 888-630-WMAL. That's 888-630-9625. Love to talk to you today. Joan, you're waiting patiently. How can we help you?
I just wondered if you would discuss how you diagnose diabetes. Is it by the blood sugar or that A1C test, or how you diagnose it?
Actually, the doctors are going to take a... Do you want to
Joan,
turn
you want
your
to turn
radio
your radio
down?
down? You're getting feedback on.
There you go. You look at the blood sugar levels, and officially diabetes begins when the fasting blood sugar is above 120. You're in what they call a pre-diabetic state when you're between 100 and 120. The A1C is a measure of the effect of that blood sugar on some protein structures in your body. They just happen to use the hemoglobin because it's easy to get to, and it's in the blood itself. And when that gets to be above 5.7, they consider you to be pre-diabetic. When it's at 6.0, it becomes diabetes land.
Now, here's the situation. If you have a blood sugar that's at 100 and your A1C hemoglobin happens to go north of 6, you're diabetic.
That's right.
Period. So you have to look at both of them. And the thing of it is that diabetes today is a stress-related inflammatory process that comes about from all the things that we're talking about today. And it also comes about because the adrenal system has fatigued itself. It signals the pancreas to produce insulin. Now, the pancreas becomes insensitive over a period of time to that stimulation. It gets tired. It gets fatigued. It can't produce the insulin. And because it can't produce the insulin, it can't transport. But here's the other piece of that. Even if it can produce the insulin, if the tissue is inflamed, it means that it can't get things into it. Now you have that portion of diabetes. So there's many pieces to the puzzle that you have to look at. But as far as laboratory markers, that's how you look at it. Anything that, any blood sugar that has an A1C that is above 5.7 is pre-diabetic, or 5.7 above is pre-diabetic. Anything that is 6 or above, in our book, in our experience, is a diabetic situation.
And also, Joan, there's one more thing you can take a look at if you happen to have your cholesterols. If you look at the ratio between your triglycerides and your HDL, the good cholesterol, when you see there are 4 times as many triglycerides as there are good cholesterols, that is an indicator as well that there's some problems with insulin and sugar management. And it's often a marker that will be picked up much sooner than the A1C is.
Joan, I hope that helps. We have to stop for a break. If we can be more useful to you, give us a call at the office at 703-698-7117, or go online at rosellecare.com. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. We are live, but we're not in studio today. 888-630-9625. 888-630-WMAL. That's how you get a hold of us, and we'll be more than happy to put the fire out at any kind of problem that you may be having. My guest today is Sue, because we're here together and enjoying Labor Day like many of you are, but we'll still do the program for you because we don't run away too far without being able to be connected, as they say. But we get to sit here and look at a very beautiful lake in Chautauqua Lake, New York.
Very peaceful. I could sit out there all day and just stare.
It's gorgeous. Yeah. But we'll be back in the office, tomorrow. Or
decreasing the stress load.
I know. Every once in a while we have to run away too.
Absolutely.
But we never run away too far.
No.
We're talking about alkaline acid problems, and particularly as the fall is tripping in, all those sore throats and those headaches and pressures and
running
the GI
nose.
problems and running nose, the eyes that look like, you're casting for a vampire movie or something. We're really suffering this year because of the imbalance in the seasons, if you will, and we really need to show you how you can help yourself, because some of you suffer tremendously in the wintertime, in the springtime and the summertime, as you get into those transitional pieces of the fall, summer, and the spring, summer, and it's just an ugly time. Sue, let's talk a little bit about getting back to pH and the different things that people get into and why we have such a society that basically is breaking down all the time. They're degenerating. They're predisposing themselves to all kinds of things.
Absolutely.
How come? What's happening?
Well, for one thing, the more stress you have, the more your body energies have to go to try to cope with that. So there's that mental part of that triangle. And I don't know of anybody in the area that doesn't have stress. This area where we are currently today, anywhere, there's a lot of stress just in general. People are uncertain about future and so forth. When you have food allergies, big thing, people's bodies are weakened by eating things that they're allergic to. That's another stress the body has to try to cope with. Every time you put something in your mouth that your body does not want or doesn't see as a supportive food, it has to go through a stress response. And when that does happen, it takes more energy out of the body. The more you have food allergies and the more you're exposed to your environment, the worse your allergies are going to be.
We were talking about an interesting piece of data that I use often when I'm presenting. I'm talking about allergies or I'm talking about any kind of degenerative disease process. It's unfortunate that our society is so good at marketing because they convince us that we should be taking not only certain types of drugs but also eating certain types of foods.
Right.
And anything that we see out on the marketplace, we hear on the radio, we watch on television, we think is gospel and we think it's okay. And the biggest guys out there are the Coca-Colas and Pepsi-Colas and all the colas, and we drink them more than we put anything else in our body, and they're highly acidic.
That's right.
How acidic? When we said that the body has to be 7.345, what's the deal here?
Well, cola is down there with the stomach acid. Somewhere around 2 to 2.5 in the pH range. The average stomach acid in a healthy person will be somewhere between 1 and 2 in the pH.
So we're shifting our body so significantly by having a soda, even infrequently, and we can't neutralize it. Even if we went the rest of our diet all day long and ate as good as we possibly could eat, we're still not neutralizing the effect of that soda.
Well, somebody did the math on this and said that if you have one standard cola, 12-ounce can, now this is not the super big gulp, this is just a 12-ounce can of pH cola at 2.5, it takes...
Which is Coca-Cola and Pepsi.
One of those.
Okay.
It takes 32 glasses of alkaline water at a pH of 10 to neutralize that one can.
To get it back to 7.
Yes. 32 8-ounce glasses.
So, folks, listen, we're not telling you that you shouldn't have a Coke. All we're saying that if you're going to have a Coke, if you're going to have a Pepsi...
Drink 32 glasses of pH 10 water.
10 water. That's it. So, get it done. And that's just to get you back to 0.
Now,
and that's not including the other water you have to have for the day.
That's right. Okay. Now, that's regular standard sugar colas. A diet soft drink's not quite as bad. That's a 3.2 pH. So it's only going to burn your stomach half as much.
But it doesn't count for the cancers, the predispositions, the degenerative diseases, and the demyelination and all that stuff that comes with NutraSweet.
This is just...
I'm just talking.
This is just the pH now. Beer is somewhere around 4.7. Sorry, guys.
I don't think beer.
They didn't go into what spirits would be, distilled alcohols. Distilled water has a pH of neutral, which is 7.0, and if you filter your tap water with a pretty decent carbon-based filter, it's going to be a pH of about 8.4, which is not bad at all. And it beats the pH in any of the bottled waters. Okay?
Many patients ask me, can I drink distilled water, or, is it better for me? I said, no, it's not better for you. Regular water that's been filtered that's above 7 is going to be far better, plus it has more mineralization in it, and distilled water takes everything out.
It does. It's changed the electric component of the water that we need for lots of other things, but we won't get into that physics.
We're coming up to a break, and the news, we have several people online. You can give us a call at 888-630-9625. That's 888-630-WMAL. We'll take your calls when we come back. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. Don't go away. Welcome back. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. Give us a call, 888-630-WMAL. That's 888-630-9625. Love to talk to you on any subject you have in mind. Broadcasting to you from 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL. My guest today, the best nutritionist I know and that I get to live with, is Sue.
Yeah, the one who just threw the wet blanket on everybody's fun this weekend.
Yeah, it's okay, but that's why we're here, and with a little pain comes correction.
I can't tell you how many people tell me they hear my voice in the back of their heads all the time.
I know. And I do too. I sit there and, every time I want to revert back and go, to 40 years ago, 50 years ago when I was growing up in Western New York.
Oh, not good.
No, it wasn't a good thing. I probably, if I ate the old Italian way with the Genoa salamis and the capicola and the mortadella and the pork and the fried foods and so forth.
I know.
Yeah, life would not be good right now.
Well, just to remind you, I used to be allergic to September.
I know. That's right, when we lived up here.
Oh, my gosh. This was the worst season in the whole entire world. I wanted to crawl in a corner and stay there for the month.
It's called Ragweed City.
Yeah, well, that's when I didn't know any better.
And a lot of our patients suffer from that. Before we go into the topic, and I want to get this more in depth, we do have some calls, and I want to be respectful. Laura, are you hanging in there? Can you have a question? Hi.
Hi, Dr. Roselle. Thanks for taking my call. And a few weeks ago, I emailed you. Remember, I called you in the past, and I wanted to know if you had any center or referral here in Loudoun County, and you told me to email you. I don't know if you received the email because
but I can answer you right up. No, there is nobody in Loudoun. I did get your email, and I started doing some checking to see who was out in that area. And unfortunately, there's people out there that do pieces of what we do, but there's nobody that does the platform that we do, the integrative model that we do. And that's the uniqueness of our practice, is that we look at everything from, not only three sides of the triangle, but multidisciplines.
Okay, the reason I called today also is because I went to the doctor. I needed to do some blood work, and they took the sample, everything. I haven't heard yet, but he wrote an order for DEXA for bone density because I wanted to do one. So my question is, does the DEXA have any side effects like no radiation or anything like that?
No, Laura, the DEXA scan is X-ray. And it is X-ray, absolutely.
Oh, my God.
And that's what's used, that's what medical people use. And even the screening units, the DEXA screening units, which would X-ray an ankle or X-ray your little finger or your middle finger, are X-ray. That's the only technology that they use today. But there are other things that you can use to measure, bone density. Sue?
If you're trying to find out whether or not you have lost the mineralization, I think the DEXA scan is the only way you can tell that situation. There are urine tests that you can use to determine whether or not the bone is turning itself over faster than it should. It's a simple urine test. We use it in our office quite frequently to assess the status of a person's ability to shift the health of their bone. In other words, when they're following the diet, taking the right nutrients, and getting the exercise that they need, very often the body's ability to balance out how the bone breaks down and builds back up again comes right back where it belongs. But it does not tell you what the level of mineral loss you have. It only tells you about the health of the bone cell itself and whether it's breaking down too fast. That's an adjunct that we can use with the DEXA scan. But the DEXAs are very high radiation. That's why we only recommend people do it at the very, very minimum amount of time. It takes a long time for bone to rebuild, so if you have one every 2 to 5 years, that's usually as fast as you want to have them.
That's plenty, and has the effect. Unfortunately, that's what it is. And women who are still in the childbearing ages or have active ovaries, any of that radiation that goes to the hip, that goes to the low back, that's exposure, and that's not something that they, in our opinion, there's other ways of getting that done. I don't think that's a great examination process.
Have you had it before?
Yeah, pardon. Yeah, well, he also wrote an order for a mammogram. I haven't done mammograms at all.
No, I would get a thermography. You know, here's the truth on mammograms: is that if you have 5 of them within a period of time, they used to recommend them on an annual basis. But as soon as you have 5 mammographies, you've increased your risk of breast cancer by 40%. So there's a lot of things to really consider. Laura, I hope that helps you. We have several things we want to cover today. If we can help you, obviously get a hold of us at the office, 703-698-7117, or online, rosellecare.com, and I will write you back. Every intention of letting you know that there was, unfortunately, no referral I can make out there. John, you're waiting patiently. How can I help you, sir?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Roselle.
Yes.
I have been diagnosed as having Morgellons disease.
Morgellons?
Morgellons. Morgellons.
Okay, that's one that I'm not familiar with by that term, so why don't you fill me in and see what we can do?
Okay, I've got some outtakes from Scientific American and Oklahoma University and different places, and my doctor and these things indicate that they really don't know what the hell it is.
Okay, that's probably one of the reasons I don't know what it is. So,
yeah,
what are they diagnosing? What part of your body, what organ systems are involved? As you talk to me, I'm probably going to jump onto it pretty quickly. So, tell me why they diagnose this, how it's affecting your system.
Well, it's kind of affecting me all over as far as sort of a rash on the skin with what looks like little maggots, and the same on my face, little growths above my head, above my eye and both eyes.
They're little. Are they little hard, crusty growths that you're describing to me?
Well, no, they're kind of a couple inches long, say, over my right eye, and it kind of looks like almost like a tropical fish. It's kind of gold pink in color, and it moves from time to time. Doesn't crawl around, but I don't think it's any kind of animal that I've ever run across anywhere.
John, have you lived outside the country, or you've been traveling over the last 10 years or so?
No, I've been a homebody all my life, pretty much.
Okay. Where do you live? You live in Arlington, do I understand?
Yes.
Okay. And what kind of work did you do before you retired?
I primarily worked in ice skating rinks. I worked 20 years over Chevy Chase Club and over the Capitol Center for about 20 also.
John, were there any chemicals that you were exposed to that you used on a regular basis, that you sprayed on the ice or anything of that nature?
Not anything that I can think of that would be dangerous, but...
things that we don't think are dangerous can be very dangerous.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to say, in addition to working in the country club, I used to run their swimming pools in the summertime, and they were filtered by diatomaceous earth, and sodium hypochlorite was what was pumped into the water to kill germs.
Okay, so you have chlorine. They were filtering with clay, and they were putting chlorine in the water. So the clay is not a problem, but the chlorine is significant exposure.
Well, I guess maybe I should make an appointment and come and see you guys.
Yeah, normally what we would do, John, with something like this is there is a why behind what's going on with you, and you would start looking at the industrial chemicals that are being used. You'd look at other exposures of toxic metals that have gotten into your system. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to... When they come up with these types of diagnoses, some of them are far-reaching and they throw things out there that just because they got to come up with something. But I will research that. You and I will talk. Send me a note online. But come in and check us out, John, and at least we can do the biochemical background and screenings to see what's taking place. So give me a call, and let's see if we can work this out together.
I'm not computer literate, so...
Okay, just call us then.
Give you the phone number if that'll help.
703-698-7117. Call me, and leave a message for me, and I will get back to you. John, I appreciate your call. We'll do everything that we possibly can to figure out what's going on with you. Everything has a why is that. There's nothing that occurs in the body, no matter what the situation is, that if you ask the right questions of the body, and that's what I mean when I say ask the right questions, you have to, say, where did you work? What happened? How many years ago? When's the first time you saw this? What exposures, dental exposures, inoculations, vaccines, things that you did on your job. In the world that we're in today, in the bioelectrical world, we see all kinds of things that are coming about simply because of exposures of cell phones and computer screens and iPads and all of that.
Yard chemicals.
And yard chemicals.
Household chemicals that we use, paints and varnishes and deck treatments and driveway treatments. I mean, we're surrounded by chemicals of all sorts.
888-630-WMAL. That's 888-630-9625. Love to talk to you. My guest, Sue, we are not in the office, but you can obviously talk to us today. And we're sitting relaxing and talking to you and giving you some information on why the fall is so nasty to so many of you. And for many of us, it's simply because our body is way acidic, far more acidic. We have a lifestyle. We're eating things that just aren't so.
Well, and we talked about some stuff like, the comfort foods that we all gravitate towards when we're under stress. The fact that we don't get enough sleep, we don't get enough water, we don't get enough exercise, doing those kinds of things. So basically when people say, well, what am I going to do with this? I don't want to take Zyrtec, I don't want to take all the drugs and everything. And that's a good thing because that makes the body even more allergic and more acidic, and it actually offsets all these horrible symptoms we get that we think are terrible are really our body's way of trying to get rid of toxic acid waste that is polluting our bodies, basically. When the runny nose happens, it's our body trying to clear out our sinuses. When our runny eyes are happening, it's trying to clear out the irritation in the eyeball itself. All of these symptoms that we try to get rid of because they make things uncomfortable or miserable are really our body's messages of saying, hey, just get out of my way and let me try to deal with this. But we can do a lot of things on the other side of the coin that will help us not have this problem in the first place. And the first thing is getting off of foods that we're allergic to. That's the biggie. And that may be dairy, it may be gluten, or it could be any of a vast array of foods.
Well, the biggest problem here is that so many people aren't even aware that they're allergic to something.
That's right.
They're so accustomed, so used to playing at a low end. And then when you find them, particularly in our situation, we do laboratory testing, and in addition to that, we do neuromuscular testing through applied kinesiological pathways, and it's accurate. We handle some very serious allergy cases, and we look at them from biochemical, neurological, energetic, and we put those pieces together, and people respond. Over a year ago now, I treated a young woman, and it was on television on True Life as a reality program, and it was called In Search of a Cure. And this poor girl, 17-year-old at the time, was suffering from all kinds of allergens, and she was going into anaphylaxis and seizures. But on a lower level, the mental sluggishness, the autoimmune problems, the physiological changes in the body that come about because our environment basically is failing. But once you get it, you understand it, you can begin to shift virtually anything that comes about. Sue, very quickly, we have more people on the line. I want to get back to the phones. Ageless Health 2012 is coming up.
Right.
And how to live well in a stressful world.
Right.
And we're already climbing. We're far ahead of registration we were last year, so I would encourage anybody that is interested either give our office a call at 703-698-7117 or go online at rosellecare.com. If you register online, you'll save yourself some money. If you register 2 people, we'll give you a discount as well. But here's the deal, is that this seminar will give you the tools, step-by-step tools, of how to change virtually everything and anything that's going on. You're going to be presenting, as you do every year, and this year it's, how to eat well in a stressful world.
Right.
And
how to eat well on the run.
How to eat well on the run. How do you eat well when you're busy? Many of you know my schedule. You know I'm a crazy man. I'm on planes. I'm lecturing all over the world. I'm seeing patients from early morning to late at night, and I still manage to eat very well. And I don't have the problems that most people have.
Right.
And it's one of those things. But I encourage you. This is an opportunity for you to really find out how to fix virtually anything that's going on with you, how to turn things around. Don't let this year go by without making a commitment to yourself. And by the way, I want to remind you, WIDA, PBS, is doing a 90-minute documentary on our work, Ageless Health, and we're going to give you more information about that. Have to stop for a break. Don't go away. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. Welcome back. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. You're listening to Dr. Tom Roselle Live. We've been in studio broadcasting to you from 105.9 FM and AM 630 WMAL. We're here every week at 888-630 WMAL, and my guest today has been Sue. We're talking about allergy season. We only have a few minutes left, and we do have a call. He's been waiting patiently. Vernon, are you there? I have about a minute, so how can we help you? Vernon.
A couple of issues. Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Couple of issues. I was diagnosed with a spot in my lung, but I also was. They told me I had emphysema, and actually I'm taking ether chloride with potassium max for the spot in my lung just to use as an alternative therapy. But as far as emphysema is concerned, is there you ever heard of nebulized glutathione? Is that
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep, sure.
Can that help?
It can. Glutathione can help a lot of different things, but there's going to be, if you have an emphysemic situation, you've got to support adrenal function. You've got to support the energetics to the lung. I would, if you were a patient of ours, we would be going after it as well with acupuncture, low energy light laser, and opening up the nervous system so it can maximize. But the fact that you have an emphysemic condition tells me that you've had some predispositions to something. I'd love to get into this more in depth with you, Vernon. Unfortunately, we don't have the time today. We're right up to the end of the clock. But if you give me a call, either at 703-698-7117 or go to rosellecare.com, I'll be more than happy to go back and forth with you. But glutathione is great. There's some good functional medicine docs out there that know their business. We would approach it with a much broader stroke, going after it from the energetic pathways with nutrition and so forth. Sue, we only have a minute, so if you had to wrap this thing up and you had to tell people what can they do to help themselves, what would you say?
Okay, 3 things. Drink clean water, because that keeps the body flushed out. It helps the body get rid of toxins. Good filtered tap water is already in an alkaline range, so you don't have to go out and buy expensive bottled water that's probably not as alkaline as it says it is on the label. Exercise gently. Again, it helps move the lymphatic system. That's your garbage collector. It gets the stuff out of you, and it also reduces your stress. And the last most important thing is get off the junk food. Eat real good food. If it doesn't have a label, it's probably a good food. So vegetables, fruits, clean meats, free-ranging meats, and no hormone antibiotic, good eggs. Careful with the dairy, careful with the gluten. If you have a lot of trouble with allergies, you're probably having trouble with one or the other of those.
As always, if we can help you anytime offline, just go to rosellecare.com. You can hear this program and other programs by going to roselleradio.com and join us. Over 14,000 people have. We're here every Sunday, 12 noon, trying to bring you the best information we possibly can. This is Dr. Tom Roselle. See you next week. Bye. Do you suffer from the debilitating symptoms of chronic pain, swelling, and loss of joint motion due to arthritis? Are you taking drugs like Celebrex and Vioxx or other super aspirin prescriptions? If you are, you're increasing the risk of heart attack and stroke by up to 50%. This is Dr. Tom Roselle, host of Dr. Tom Roselle Live Sundays at 12 noon. Why live with pain or the dangerous side effects of drugs when the doctors at the Roselle Center for Healing, practicing 21st century integrative medicine, can help you experience relief like never before? Simple, safe, chiropractic, acupuncture, and nutritional care can provide significant relief from arthritic pain in less than 6 weeks. More than 70% of our patients experience a return to life far beyond their expectations. Give yourself the best gift possible, freedom from arthritic pain, naturally. Call today to schedule an appointment. Call 703-698-7117 or visit online at rosellecare.com. Did you know that maintaining a total state of wellness is a choice? That you have total and absolute control over anything that happens to your health and wellness? This is Dr. Tom Roselle, author of Ageless Health 101, Health is a Do-It-Yourself Program. My book, now also available in audio version, is a step-by-step program of how to take control of your health and wellness without drugs or needless surgery. A state of total wellness is your choice. You have the capacity to change your health and level of well-being. Take control of your health. Are you looking for great tennis instruction in a dynamic, challenging, and fun environment? Hi, this is Dr. Tom Roselle, inviting you to visit rjtennis.com to learn about the most popular adult tennis program in the metro area. RJ Tennis programs are packed full of energy and non-stop tennis. With exhilarating drills and games, RJ Tennis will energize your game, fitness, and life. So call a friend and sign up today at rjtennis.com. That's rjtennis.com.
Did you know that breast cancer is on the rise and that routine annual mammograms can increase radiation exposure to breast tissue 1,000 times over a chest X-ray? The result could increase the risk of developing breast cancer. Now, consider a simple, non-invasive, and totally safe adjunct medical procedure approved by the FDA, which can detect evidence of breast cancer 5 to 8 years before it can be visualized on a mammogram. Infrared thermographic imaging can accurately detect initial signs of breast cancer, such as increased blood supply and metabolic rate, which is recorded as heat. Why expose yourself to radiation when accurate and safe medical detection is available? Call Thermography Centers at 888-485-7736. That's 888-485-7736. And for more information, visit thermographycenters.com.
The Roselle Center for Healing is a proud supporter of breast cancer awareness and reminds you to conduct a monthly breast self-examination and include a thermographic breast scan as part of your annual wellness checkup.